Welcome to Postscript, where we chat and sometimes rant about the intersection of film, narrative, and culture. I'm Tori, and I prepare and guide each episode.
And I'm David, and I'm responsible mostly for the ranting part. I have no idea what we're talking about this episode, just like the previous episodes, but I'm going to be strongly fuck me. I'm going to have strong opinions as usual.
Okay, so in this season, we're going through the highest grossing, most popular, and most mainstream movies that came out throughout the Great Recession that focus on the economy, class, wealth, poverty, and employment. And we're seeing if the mainstream view of these things changed during that time, and if so, what they changed into. Last episode, we saw the impact of the recession on the American middle class depicted by Up in the Air and other films of 2009. And this episode, we're moving forward into 2010.
Ooh. Yeah, as I remember 2010, I kind of remember 2010.
That's good.
But it still feels like that in 2010, probably capitalism criticism was still very underground in the US. So I'm wondering if it's starting to appear in movies as a message.
Yes, we're going to explore that for sure. And it's don't get your hopes up too much.
Oh, I never have my hopes up too much.
Okay, 2010 saw a worsening of unemployment across the world. Banks foreclosed on millions of homes in the US. 2010 is the year when the conservative response to the crisis really took shape. They argued for austerity and against irresponsible, in quotations, government spending. In the UK, the Tory party took power, cutting welfare, government jobs, and pensions.
Exactly what needs to be done in case of a crisis. Yeah, perfect. Perfect solutions. Always works.
And in terms of the UK, we know where this is going. In the US, the Tea Party blocked healthcare reforms and pushed for corporate tax cuts. So, and someone else came to power in 2010.
Oh.
Viktor Orban's Fidesz party won in Hungary. Not a very significant political moment for the world, but something close to home for you.
But an incredibly depressing one for Hungary. And that's basically defined the upcoming decade and more. Nobody knew how, in quotation marks, progressive this change in Hungary was. Mm-hmm. They thought, or they hoped, that it's going to remain an isolated thing because it's just a tiny Eastern European country. But they were wrong.
We're laying the groundwork here.
Yeah.
I'll cover the left-wing response to everything in a future episode. Not this one.
Mm-hmm.
The book The Big Short was released this year to massive success, as well as the documentary The Inside Job, which won the Oscar for Best Documentary. Both attempted to explain how the crisis happened. They both blamed lack of government regulation and oversight in the U.S. financial sector. Check. As well as greed, corruption, and the continued lack of accountability.
Check.
The Inside Job was like an actually left message, like a more lefty message. I rewatched it for this, or watched, I don't remember if I saw it at the time. We're not going to talk about The Inside Job because it wasn't really big enough for me to say it reflects like the mainstream view. Mm-hmm. But as I said, it won the Oscar for Best Documentary. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But obviously, point is like that winning Best Documentary, The Big Short being such a success, people were ready to know what the hell happened, at least in the U.S. at that point. And there were theories and takes flying around about it by then.
It's just interesting. It always felt like that 2008 and the crisis was it really changed everything. And I'm just, as we're talking about it, I'm just realizing how much of a root it is of our current day problems as well.
So this episode is going to be a little different. There wasn't one movie from 2010 that was both extremely popular and dealt with all these themes. So instead, I'm going to be jumping between 3 different movies and just like kind of jumping between their messages and themes as well. The first movie we're going to talk about is Wall Street Money Never Sleeps, which is a remake, or not a remake, a sequel
Oh, okay.
to 1987's Wall Street.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's a sequel to Wall Street.
You haven't seen it, right?
No, I've seen Wall Street, but I haven't seen the sequel.
Yeah, which is, as you'll discover, totally fine. So like the original, this one was also directed by Oliver Stone and starred Michael Douglas. It was the 51st highest box office globally, 51st on the ranking. It started off strong at the box office, but it kind of petered out quickly. It got mixed reviews and it didn't really win awards. So I wouldn't say it was like a big mainstream hit, but a lot of people did go and see it. And I mean, 51st in the world is still pretty high. So
Yeah.
and I did rewatch the original for this as well, but I could talk about that movie for multiple hours, so I'm not even going to start.
Okay.
Yeah, so as you can tell, I think Wall Street Money Never Sleeps totally sucks. Like, not even just ideologically. Like, I think it's just a shitty quality movie. It's like the writing sucks, the directing is awful. Like, it's annoying, it's patronizing. Like, even the title's so stupid. Like, Money Never Sleeps. Like, that's a quote from the first movie. But like, there's so many quotable lines from the first movie that they could have used. Why that one? It sounds so stupid.
What does it mean? What does it mean when money's sleeping?
I know. Like, I think in the first one, it's meant like, oh, it's global, so it never sleeps. Like, there's always people trading or something. But somebody brings it up in the sequel. I don't know, like it's evil and it never sleeps or something. If I find the clip, I'll insert it here.
Money's a bitch that never sleeps. And she's jealous. And if you don't pay close attention, you wake up in the morning, she might be gone forever.
But anyway, basically, I want to talk about Wall Street Money Never Sleeps because it does directly deal with the recession. It's about the recession, and it is attempting to have a relevant take on it, kind of riding this wave of takes that was happening at the time. But in my opinion, it just totally fails to have a take that's relevant or insightful. But I mean, I think people did want to see a movie that has a take, and that like explains why it was initially so successful and then kind of lost steam after a while. But I do think it's worth talking about because it represents like a certain ideology and worldview that was prevalent at the time.
This type of attitude in Hollywood really has been like cranked to the max, you know, like lately, or at least it's a very, very recurring thing that something, you know, a social message or something political becomes such a hot topic in the media, and then they create a movie based on that. And that will attract a lot of people, and it doesn't really matter if it says anything relevant about the subject.
It's recession-sploitation.
Recession-sploitation, yeah, exactly.
All right, we're going to watch the trailer now.
In a world.
Someone reminded me I once said, greed is good. Now it seems it's legal. Because everybody's drinking the same Kool-Aid. Now, I've been considered a pretty smart guy. And maybe I was in prison too long.
One watch and one mobile phone.
But sometimes it's the only place to stay sane and look out through those bars and say, is everybody out there nuts?
Gecko was one of the biggest names on Wall Street before he went to prison for insider trading.
That name doesn't mean anything anymore.
If it weren't for people who took risks, where would we be in this world?
You might want to wipe some of the drool off your face.
Gecko! My name's Jacob Moore. I'm gonna marry your daughter.
My daughter hasn't spoken to me in years, and you know it.
I never knew my dad as a peaceful person. That always scared me.
Who do you think he is, Jake? He'll hurt us.
Why don't you start calling me Gordon? You want to be part of the family business.
I did tell you, Jake. I did warn you.
It's easy to get in. It's hard to get out.
Is that a threat?
Absolutely.
There are two typical sequel things are happening. One of them was actually, I think it's pretty funny that they show his boxy phone from the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think
It's a good gag.
It's a good gag. They could have pulled it off. Him quoting himself from the first movie, though, that's something that always annoys me. People don't do that because they did not watch the movie. They were in it. They were characters in it. The sequel for Trainspotting did that as well. And Bagby, one of the characters in Trainspotting, like he's quoting his iconic scenes. You know, like the part when Alassi got glass and no one leaves until we found out who did it. And it's just, it's so lame when they do that. The only information I got from this trailer that is like, oh, Michael Douglas is playing Gordon Gekko, which was a cool asshole character from the first movie. And then there's this young guy and they're drag racing on motorcycles and...
I'll come back to that. Yeah, the plot is a mess, and the whole thing is full of that kind of like tropey bad writing. So, well, okay, quick summary.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Gekko, the iconic business alpha male from the original movie, played by Michael Douglas, gets out of prison a much older man and attempts to repair his relationship with his estranged daughter, Winnie, played by Carey Mulligan, with the help of her idealistic fiancé, Jake, played by Shia LaBeouf. The movie takes place during the 2008 financial crisis, with that as the backdrop. Okay, so the first message I want to talk about from the movie is that competition, capitalism, boom and bust cycles, speculation, bubbles bursting, all these things are just part of nature. It's just natural evolution. And it's inevitable, and it's uncomfortable, and it's chaotic, but it's just part of life, and we need to accept it. So the movie is bookended by a voiceover by Shia LaBeouf's character. So we're going to listen to the second half of that voiceover, which comes at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's already... Okay, that's already incredibly upsetting.
Yeah, I think you recognize this.
Because it's an old field idea that has been proven wrong, that capitalism is just based on human nature. Capitalism needed to be invented and turned into a system. It needed to be created.
Yeah, it's used to justify so many things.
Yeah, exactly. It's being used to justify the shitty things that greedy people do and what happens in a greedy system.
Let's watch this clip and then, because you're going to want to continue that rant.
Like I said, the mother of all bubbles was the Cambrian explosion. And it happened by chance more than 500 million years ago. Scientists will tell you it was unprecedented. It happened in a flash. And from it, suddenly the world had millions of new species. From that was born us.
Look at you!
The human race. Now in that sense, bubbles are evolutionary. They kill excess. They lean out the herd. But they never die. They just come back in different forms. When they burst, they give birth to a new day.
I think I understood it because this is not the first time I'm hearing this bullshit.
Let me give you just a couple more examples and then you can react.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier in the movie, we see a financial pundit on TV saying,
true capitalism is about disaster and correction. It's a natural cycle. Without it, you create all kind of artificial anomalies in the market.
So yeah, the financial crisis and the recession. they sucked, but we just need to accept it and just like trust the process. It's part of nature. And like at the end of the movie, a new baby is born, Jake and Winnie's baby. So like a literal birth from the ashes of the financial system. Like it wants to move forward without
even understanding what just happened.
Yeah.
Or without even trying to analyze what happened or trying to criticize.
Right.
Because that's exactly...
Because it's part of nature.
It's part... But this whole belief system that they think capitalism is based on human nature, like that's what caused the crisis.
Right.
And instead of criticizing that, they're just trying to, just accept it.
Well, if you like that message, you're really going to like the next one. Okay, next message, also from Wall Street. The recession was part of the natural cycle, but it was caused by all of us. We're all to blame. The government, the I can see your face already. The banks and the individual consumers, and not just Americans, but everyone in the world.
Oh yeah. It was the fucking Swedes again.
We're all too greedy. We're all too irresponsible. We borrowed too much money. You know, we all caused this together. And the movie refers to that as systemic. It uses the word systemic multiple times to refer to that.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned before, Gecko, Michael Douglas, gets out of jail at the start of the movie. And he's written a book called Is Greed Good? You know, quoting himself in the first movie, as you mentioned. So, yeah, he starts traveling around to college campuses, giving talks on his philosophy. And that's when Shia LaBeouf meets him for the first time, seeing one of his talks. So we're going to watch his talk to these campus students. So let's watch that now.
Will infect whatever you do.
Oh, sorry. One quick note. Sympathy for the Devil, which is in the trailer, is not in the movie at all. But like David Byrne music is, I guess, because they have the one Talking Head song in the first movie.
Oh.
And then they got him to write this, like, all the music for this, I guess. Whatever.
It's also funny because, David Byrne is not exactly a libertarian. And as I saw, Susan Sarandon is in this movie, and she's always been a lefty activist. Like, she's politically very active. So they clearly believed that they're doing something that is an accurate or a legitimate
kind of progressive
response,
take.
And they just ended up like creating the biggest, like neoclassical cliche that is like just not actually saying anything new about the crisis, but just like trying to.
I was going to ask you about that too, because like I've seen Platoon and Natural Born Killers and Wall Street, obviously. So, but like, I don't know, I couldn't really summarize what Oliver Stone's, overall philosophy is.
That's exactly what I was thinking about, because Oliver Stone has been, he's been associated with definitely has been associated with liberals and associated with the political ideology that is called left-wing in the U.S.
That's what I thought.
Meaning, like, he's definitely not a conservative Republican, and so he's always been like viewed as a progressive person. And this movie, created in 2010, and seeing these other progressive thinkers like David Byrne and Susan Sarandon being on board with this thing, it probably just marks it very, very accurately, that time period when this type of, American liberal criticism just ran out of steam completely, because it was, they had nothing to add to the discussion anymore. It definitely makes me feel a little less upset about the movie, because I think they're trying. They're just very, very incapable.
Yeah.
They're just very incapable to see the issue from the right perspective. But at least I believe that the intentions of this movie were good. They just got to the wrong conclusion because...
Yeah, no, I think the movie is, evil, but I don't think that Oliver Stone is like a bad... I wouldn't write off Oliver Stone. I write off the movie for sure, but I wouldn't write him off.
Yeah.
But he had he had like the franchise of Wall Street. So it's hard to resist trying to step in and say something important about that when you know you can, get backing to make this movie. You can get Michael Douglas again and everything, like it's just ripe for like a big hit, but he just didn't have anything to say. All right, let's keep going. All right, so all right, we're going to watch that clip now.
In one of the harshest sentences ever given to a white-collar criminal at that time, in 1993, he was sent off to Otis Federal Prison for almost 8 years. And so here in person, I welcome the man himself, Mr. Insider, Gordon Gekko.
You're all pretty much fucked. You don't know it yet, but you're the ninja generation. No income, no job, no assets. You got a lot to look forward to. Someone reminded me the other evening that I once said, greed is good. Now it seems it's legal. But folks, it's greed that makes my bartender buy 3 houses he can't afford with no money down. And it's greed that makes your parents refinance their $200,000 house for $250,000. And then they take that extra $50,000 and they go down to the mall. They buy a plasma TV, cell phones, computers, an SUV, and hey, why not a second home while we're at it? Because gee whiz, I mean, we all know the prices of houses in America always go up, right? And it's greed that makes the government in this country cut the interest rates to 1% after 9/11. So we could all go shopping again. They got all these fancy names for trillions of dollars of credits. CMOs, CDOs, SIVs, ABSs. I honestly think there's maybe only 75 people in the world who know what they are. But I'll tell you what they are. They're WMDs. Weapons of mass destruction. When I was away, that's what they are. It seemed like greed got greedier with a little bit of envy mixed in. Hedge funders were walking home with $100 million a year. So Mr. Banker, he looks around and he says, my life looks pretty boring. So he starts leveraging his interests up to 40, 50 to 1. With your money, not his, yours. Because he could. You're supposed to be borrowing, not them. And the beauty of the deal, no one is responsible. Because everybody's drinking the same Kool-Aid. Last year, ladies and gentlemen, 40% of all American corporate profits came from financial services. Not production, not anything remotely to do with the needs of the American public. The truth is, we're all part of it now. Banks, consumers, we're moving money around in circles. We take a buck, we shoot it full of steroids, and we call it leverage. I call it steroid banking. Now, I've been considered a pretty smart guy when it comes to finance.
That's fantastic, man.
The mother of all evil is speculation. Leveraged debt. Bottom line, it's borrowing to the hilt. And I hate to tell you this, but it's a bankrupt business model. It won't work. It's systemic, malignant, and it's global. Like cancer. It's It's a disease, and we got to fight back. How are we going to do that? How are we going to leverage that disease back in our favor? Well, I'll tell you. 3 words. Buy my book. Prices and profits work.
Wow, this movie really captures beautifully how American liberals just lost the plot completely.
Yeah, that's a good description.
It's amazing. Yeah, like this is how
You look like you're gonna combust.
No, it's just captured that moment when it was it just captured the moment when it becomes so obvious that neoliberal ideology has nothing else to say or offer, and they're trying to approach things from a different angle, but they can't. And that's how, not just in America, but in Europe also, like that's how the working class started to vote for the far right.
Because it's different.
Because it's different. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only different in rhetoric in some senses, but yeah, it's just that it's like the difference between fascism and liberalism is not a different approach to economics that caused the issue.
And it's so old man yells at cloud, but the millennial students in the audience who he tells are the ninja generation that didn't catch on, obviously, like they fucking love it.
Yeah.
Like they're laughing at all his terrible jokes, and they're just giving him, they're absolutely eating it up the whole time with their bright eyes looking at him with like adoration, you know.
The millennial generation did not end up figuring any of this out.
But we didn't cover the left-wing response yet, so
yeah.
Also, I thought you'd really appreciate the comment about the plasma TVs.
Yeah.
You always talk. Do you want to say? I can.
No, go away.
It's just something you've pointed out, that they always, when they're blaming poor people for their economic situations, they always go back to they're buying too many TVs.
But also, and it's and it just completely ignoring the fact, what drives why people would end up in debt and what's pushing them in that direction. It's pretending like consumerism and social status and even greed is just one of those natural elements like the wind. And it's not something that's being driven. It's not something that it's being manipulated. It's not something that it's being altered by policy, altered by propaganda, or altered by social values. It's the absolute lack of systemic thinking and just this weird belief that everything that happens to us, it's just. Whew.
I do think that this isn't just the character's message, but Gordon Gekko is supposed to be the smart one in the movie, so I do think this is the movie's message as well. And as you heard at the end, he kind of just sneaks in this prices and profits work, because he says buy my book, and then he says prices and profits work, which I guess is just means the system of free market capitalism works fine, because he builds up to this solution thing, but then he kind of just says buy my book. It's kind of it's like the whole movie in a sense.
Yeah.
It's watch my movie.
Yeah. Also, it's funny because unintentionally it's also so there's this school of economics that it's even today, and back then it definitely was incredibly dominant in academia, which is the neoclassical school of economics. And it has one very interestingly revealing characteristic, is if you look at the different economic schools like Keynesian economics or Marxism or anything like that, they usually have a crisis theory, meaning like they have a theory about what is causing financial crises appearing over and over again. And there's one economical school that it's famous for not being a crisis theory, meaning it's saying that whenever an economical crisis happens, it's always an external thing, that is a force coming from outside of economics that's causing a financial crisis. And that's exactly the neoclassical school.
The artificial anomaly from the previous quote.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's always an external thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly the idea.
And that's the message of the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, human nature is the problem. We all just need to stop being so greedy, overspending, speculating, making poor financial decisions, because those create the artificial anomalies, not the system itself. Also, Gecko concludes to his daughter at the end of the movie, he says,
You know, when human beings, we got to give them a break. We're all mixed bags.
Just so it's kind of like concludes in this like, people are flawed, what you gonna do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not that free market capitalism incentivizes that kind of behavior in humans, which is how I would use the word systemic. But in the movie, the word systemic is meant as like a pervasive or common problem that's artificially harming the system, not innate to the system.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is how it's just like the use of the word systemic is, he's not using it in the same way at all.
Yeah, they're talking about systemic, like there's the system outside of economics, and like economics and the rest of the system is like two different things.
And I have the perfect metaphor also in the movie. So later in the voiceover, Shia LaBeouf reiterates the same message, and he says,
What is the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. By that standard, most of us are insane, but not at the same time. And on that basis, we trust. But can this way of life endure if more and more people are insane at the same time? It becomes, as Gordon said, systemic, like cancer.
Okay, so the fact that they define systemic as like cancer is exactly the point, because it's saying that this is outside of the system, attacking the system. So like it's systemic in the sense that it's pervasive and it's infiltrating the system. That's how they're using the word systemic. Not as in it's part of the system itself.
They're using it like systemic means like it's a separate, different system that it's invading our system. It's
But then it kind of goes, it keeps flip-flopping between like, it's natural in humans, but it's artificial for free market capitalism. But like humans are part of free market capitalism. So in that sense, it's part of the system because it's humans that run the system. I don't know.
It's so idiotic. It's like, you know, like it's like you're being sick and you're saying like, oh, I'm sick, so let's see the big picture. My head hurts. Like it's not analyzing anything. It's not revealing anything. It's just rephrasing stuff.
Right. Okay. So there's also this whole theme of moral hazard.
You know what moral hazard is, Mom? You know what that means?
No.
It means that once you get bailed out, what's to stop you from taking another shot?
Which is when, if there's no consequences for something, then there's no incentive to do the right thing in the future. So, like bailouts, if you bail someone out, then they might just repeat the same behavior. So the movie condemns the government for bailing out banks. Like, it does condemn the government for bailing out banks, but not for the reasons that you might expect it to. So we're going to watch a very short clip. You're going to need a deep breath before this one, I think.
You are asking for the biggest bailout in the history of this country. You're talking nationalization, Breton. Socialism. I have fought it all my life.
He's calling giving taxpayer money to bail out banks socialism. I know it's a character in the movie that's saying this, but like no one in the movie says anything against this comment. Like it doesn't seem to be challenged in the movie. Yeah. Like I think this is what the movie thinks, or at least it's like not challenging this idea.
They don't really understand what socialism is.
No, they still don't. No.
They use it as a label, and also there were systems in history that were built or created in the name of socialism, but by now, if you look at them and the contemporary definition for Soviet-style systems, for example, they don't call those systems socialist anymore. It's a version of capitalism where private ownership is replaced with state ownership. So the current, more accurate definition for that is bureaucratic state capitalism, meaning like Marx would have not called the Soviet-style systems non-capitalists.
Like, as I see it, like, as I understand it, socialism is about redistribution. This is taking money from the least powerful, poorest people and giving it to the most powerful, richest people. So, like, if that's socialism, then I don't know what words are anymore.
No, that is neoliberalism. Like, it's kind of a form of redistribution.
I guess it's technically true.
It's technically, it's technically still redistribution.
Okay, I guess I need to be very clear about what kind of redistribution I believe in.
Exactly. So, they're not wrong. It's still redistribution. It's just not socialism. Yeah.
So that scene is about banks being greedy and the government being irresponsible. So it is saying, like, and in Gecko's speech, you also heard him criticizing the banks, criticizing the financial sector, criticizing the government, but also criticizing everyone else in the world. So the message ends up being that the crisis is everyone's fault. Also, there's this subplot with Shia LaBeouf's mom, who's played by Susan Sarandon. So in the movie, she used to be a nurse, so like which they portray as like an ethical job, but she decided to become a property flipper, like real estate, because she's too greedy, and now she needs bailouts from her son, just like the bank needs bailouts from the government. So it's a way to show that it's also a problem of individuals. Like she's meant to represent one of these individuals who's acting financially irresponsible.
Mom, I love you, but I cannot keep hemorrhaging money for your insanity.
It's already very problematic and upsetting that they blame regular people on decisions that they did not make, but Wall Street made. But on top of that, just opening it up to this global scale that the whole world is responsible for this shit, it's incredibly triggering to me, because that's exactly what was upsetting to me, that the crisis happened because of the lack of regulations in America, and my whole family was financially absolutely fucked for over a decade because of it, and they live in a completely different country. And they never voted for any of this. They never supported any of this.
Yeah.
And now this movie tells that like they're part of the problem.
Yeah, I know. It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next movie. Ready? The next movie is The Social Network.
Ooh.
I need to do something substantial in order to get the attention of the clubs.
Why?
Because they're exclusive and fun, and they lead to a better life. People want to go on the internet and check out their friends, so why not build a website that offers that friends, pictures, profiles? I'm talking about taking the entire social experience of college and putting it online.
The site got 2,200 hits within 2 hours.
22,000.
This idea is potentially worth millions of dollars.
Millions? You stole our website.
They're saying we stole the Facebook.
I know what it says.
So did we?
$1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion.
You're going to get left behind. It's moving faster than any of us ever imagined it would.
Let's sue him in federal court.
I can't wait to stand over your shoulder and watch you write as a check.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Is there anything that you need to tell me?
Your actions could have permanently destroyed everything I've been working on.
We have been working on.
Did you like being a joke? Do you want to go back to that?
Mark!
I believe I deserve some recognition from this board.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Which part?
Directed by David Fincher and written by Aaron Sorkin and starring Jesse Eisenberg. So I chose this movie because it's not only one of the biggest movies of the year, it was the 32nd highest grossing movie worldwide, and it won lots of Oscars and other awards. I do think it's one of the most influential movies from that time period on the culture. This criticism about tech billionaires, like it's mainstream now, but in 2010, that was really early for that.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk a ton about this or the other. Wall Street was the one we're speaking the most about.
I'm really excited about this segment because I always thought that The Social Network is kind of overrated, and I never really understood the appeal. But I've only seen it once in the theater, and I just back then all I remember is just I thought this just happened too early, and we don't even know where this whole like Facebook/social media thing is really headed. But actually, now that we're talking about it, I would like to rewatch it.
Yeah,
it's just hard to rewatch it because I remember really hating the overall mood of the movie. It was not an easy watch for me.
I think we're
But it's just the vibe of it, not the message.
I think we're going to touch on why the message is, why you might have mixed feelings about the message. I mean, overall, I think I like Fincher, and I think the quality of the movie is really good, just in terms of filmmaking. So The Social Network relates to the season because it's about success and wealth in America. So very quick summary. The movie is about Mark Zuckerberg and the creation of Facebook.
Who?
Which, right away is maybe why you weren't that interested in it. It focuses on the irony of how the person who created the largest social network in human history, whose only goal in life was to climb the social ladder, does so at the cost of the only real relationships he ever had. That's kind of the whole focus. That's all I'm going to really summarize. Most people have seen this movie. So, message. If we take the narrative around tech billionaire CEOs like Batman and Iron Man, right? Which happened a couple of years before this. They're portrayed as strong, intelligent, capable, right? And they're meant to be motivated by a desire to bring justice to humanity, not just deal with their own personal grievances. The Social Network and its portrayal of tech billionaire CEOs is a bit different and new, I would say, for the time. It does portray Mark Zuckerberg as incredibly smart and talented in some ways, but it also portrays him as weak, incompetent, and incapable in other ways. As they say many times in the movie, he is an asshole.
You're gonna go through life thinking that girls don't like you because you're a nerd. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that that won't be true. It'll be because you're an asshole.
His original creation of Facebook was driven by his vengeance toward his ex-girlfriend, coupled with an obsession with his own social climbing. He does desire justice, but only for himself. We're meant to understand that his deeper motivation is his desire for human connection. By the end, he's somewhat redeemed because he does show like some regret for his actions.
I was drunk and angry and stupid.
And blogging.
And blogging.
But as we see, I mean, do you remember the very last shot of the movie?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very memorable. He still doesn't really get what he did wrong or how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, it kind of makes him like tragic or pathetic, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other entrepreneur CEO in the movie is Sean Parker, played by Justin Timberlake. He's also portrayed as talented and smart in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike Mark, he's also charismatic and attractive, and he uses those qualities to knowingly manipulate people.
Mm-hmm.
And also, unlike Mark, he never shows any regret for his actions by the end.
Yeah, because Mark is portrayed as somebody who's on the spectrum, while Timberlake's character is just a sociopath.
Yeah, exactly. Sean Parker actually exploits Mark's desire for human connection for his own gain.
This is our time. This time, you're gonna hand him a business card that says, "I'm CEO, bitch." That's what I want for you.
He's also described in the movie as
he was paranoid and delusional.
Something that we now associate with tech CEOs,
mm-hmm.
one in particular. But at the time, that was not the way people thought about them.
Mm-hmm.
That was not a common view, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Sean Parker, represents this kind of world of tech billionaires in Silicon Valley. And this movie presents that world as full of excess and debauchery and cocaine. And like that view was not really common yet. Like all of the scandals and stuff that happened kind of happened after this.
Mm-hmm.
Crashed out of 2 pretty big internet companies in spectacular fashion. He's had a reputation with drugs.
He also founded the companies.
And then by the end, Mark does come to see Sean for who he truly is, but by then it's too late.
It's portraying that Silicon Valley culture and a lot more problematic and a lot more toxic indeed than in any other movies, because what I can remember is there was a movie about Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, the pirates of the Silicon Valley, but it was a quite glorified view of, like the rivalry of those two geniuses. It might be a TV movie actually, but that was for a very long time that was the Silicon Valley movie, like the movie that even like dealt with that culture. But it's very different. It's like it shows everything so much more meritocratic than it is, and but even the Social Network kind of has that attitude.
Yeah, and we'll come back to that. So just to sum it up, as you said about Up in the Air, this movie isn't calling for revolution, but I think it was doing something that represented a change, which is it's not even challenging the meritocracy idea, as we'll come back to, but it's associating rich, powerful geniuses with antisocial behavior instead of pro-social behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would summarize it.
And that's something.
Yeah. I think that's the real change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or at least introducing the idea that they may have some antisocial behaviors.
Because before that, I think there were only 2 characters who were associated with that character. And one of them was Steve Jobs, who was an artist. And which is so upsetting for other reasons. And then Bill Gates, the hardworking philanthrope.
Mm-hmm.
And these were
Batman and Iron Man.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I mean, you're kidding, but actually, yes, Batman and Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, and I'm not saying that this is like a major critique of the Social Network, it's more just like an observation of like the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So Social Network does glorify the idea that Mark is an iconoclast who believes in himself and kind of defies all the haters to take a risk, and then the risk pays off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of similar that idea of risk. Like we've seen this in like The Pursuit of Happiness, and we saw it in Slumdog Millionaire. And the whole like risk-taking ideology is just kind of part of that same capitalist culture. This is an ideology that says that believing in yourself and your dreams and taking risks based on that leads to good outcomes, and it ignores economic realities and privilege. However, I don't think this movie was popular because it was uplifting and inspirational in the way that those other movies are supposed to be. But there is like a section in the Wikipedia article that like lists several people claiming that the movie is like may inspire people or has inspired people. But the people who've said that are, one, Mark Zuckerberg himself. 2, other people from Facebook, or 3, other tech CEOs and like tech finance people.
Oh, great.
So, I mean, as far as like people, I mean, a lot of people love this movie, and a lot of people said that The Social Network is like their favorite movie. I know people who said that, but I don't think that like it's possible it inspired people, but I don't really think that's the main reason it was popular. I mean,
the people you just mentioned, like, if they would watch Fight Club, they would say the same thing. Like, oh, that movie might inspire people.
Which it has. I mean, Fight Club is actually a perfect example because it has had this kind of, like, split legacy in that way, from what I understand.
Yeah, because some people just
thought it was cool to have a fight club and just started fight clubs.
Yeah, sure, but yeah.
So, yeah, like good comparison. So, I mean, I'm sure there are people who saw it and said like, oh, I want that life and being an entrepreneur is cool and I want to start a tech startup. But I feel like those people probably weren't, I mean, yeah, I feel like that's not the majority of people who saw something in this movie. But anyway, I wanted to just like highlight the risk taker, like hero kind of aspect of it. And just like go back to Wall Street, money never sleeps for a minute. Because we do see that same like risk taking inspiration ideology in there as well. The main character, Jake, Shia LaBeouf, is depicted as a risk taker and a dreamer.
If it weren't for people who took risks, where would we be in this world?
Jake has this nemesis businessman named Breton, Josh Brolin, and Breton challenges him to like basically a dick measuring risk taking contest on their dirt bikes, which is what you saw in the trailer. I guess because like Oliver Stone really wanted to include like an action scene. And this is the best he could think of, was these two like iconoclasts like racing their dirt bikes to show how risk-taking they are. And then like Jake beats Breton in a really risky maneuver and proving that, you know, he's larger balls or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I was going to point out also that it's kind of this double standard in that movie because like throughout the movie, risk-taking is praised on the one hand. But on the other hand, the movie blames the financial crisis on irresponsible behavior and speculation. And I'm just like, okay, so what's the difference between speculation and risk? Like, how is one good and the other is bad? Like, Jake's financial risks are depicted as like being brilliant, and Jake he even defends a risky decision that his father made, saying that he only lost because of bad luck.
Dad had bad luck. He took a shot and he failed, but he took a shot.
But, like, Jake is really hard on his mother for taking what he thinks is irresponsible risks with money. Like, so it's this idea of, like, if you want to achieve great things, you need to take risks. But if things don't work out, well, you took a risk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But we pointed out this kind of contradiction in like other situations where it's like, whatever the outcome is, you can use this to justify your argument. You know, like...
Yeah, the pursuit of happiness. We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about, like, if someone is successful, well, you know, they took risks, you know? But if they're unsuccessful, like, oh, they took risks. You know?
Yeah.
We're going to come back to The Social Network, but I'm going to introduce the last movie. And we're going to kind of jump between the three until the end of the episode. So, the last movie is The Town, directed by and starring Ben Affleck.
Never even heard of it.
It was the 46th highest grossing movie worldwide in 2010. It's so funny how these movies just like disappear. It got good reviews, but didn't win a ton of awards. But it originally caught my eye because it centers around bank robbers, and I thought maybe it would have a capitalist critique. We already talked about bank robber movies and how they weren't capitalist critique in the last episode, but I thought I'd take a look at this one anyway. And it really doesn't, but it also has, I mean, the same ideology we've seen, but yeah, it does. I mean, it has kind of the same ideology we've been talking about, but in the interest of not being biased, I'm also going to talk about the movies that were just repeating the same conservative talking points and not, you know, so we kind of like have a clear picture of where we're at and not like assume that everything is just moving towards progress. So, all right, let's watch the trailer.
There are over 300 bank robberies in Boston every year. Most of these professionals live in a 1 square mile neighborhood called Charlestown.
I'm thinking about making a change.
Making a change. Either you got heat or you don't.
I'm putting this whole town in my rearview.
You grew up right here. Same rules that I did. She's the one person that can give us the feds.
She didn't say anything. Get that in your head.
I just want you to know that you're going to die in federal prison.
I'll see you again, this side or the other.
What?
Nothing. I just think Ben Affleck is such a hilariously bad actor. He can't even just stare without looking like he's acting so hard.
He wasn't bad in this. I mean, okay, so it's overall, I think it's a well-made movie. I'm not complaining about the quality of it. It's like an entertaining action drama. It's fine. It has like, it's kind of like a male weepy. Have you ever heard that term?
No, what's that?
Actually, I only heard it from Broy Deschanel, that YouTuber. She did a video about it, but like the idea of like, you know, like there's like movies that women are supposed to put on and cry, but these are movies that men are supposed to put on and cry. You know, there's a lot of like father-son relationship drama and, you know, like masculinity drama.
Kind of like, yeah, like the body cop. It's about bonding.
Yeah, like male bonding and
Yeah.
brotherly love and stuff, whatever. But it also, to me, it really has, I don't recall this, but it really has like put on during football commercials energy. I could see it being perfect for that audience.
Yeah.
The movie takes place in Charlestown, an Irish-American neighborhood of Boston. It takes place in the present day, although the actual events, it's based on a book, and the events are actually more accurate to the mid-90s. And the recession is not mentioned in the movie at all. So there's, this neighborhood in Boston where gangs of Irish Americans regularly rob banks and commit crimes. And this practice is portrayed as cultural, like passed down from father to son, as opposed to being caused by poverty and lack of opportunity, you know? So the movie focuses on Doug, played by Ben Affleck, who's a member of that community, and his eventual, like, moral choice to stop being poor and committing crimes. Like, that's kind of where it goes. So really, it's just, like, kind of more the same, like, pursuit of happiness bullshit. Like, being poor is, like, a bad moral choice that some people make. So I'm not going to talk about this movie a lot. I just kind of wanted to, like, highlight that we have, like, another very, very popular example of this thing. It's obviously more palatable than Pursuit of Happiness was, but it's really kind of the same thing. This movie tries to pretend it's on Team Charlestown because it celebrates the blue-collar population that, like, supposedly lifted themselves out of poverty. Like, they're, like, the reformed poor people. But anyone who, like, chose the criminal lifestyle, it treats as, like, the absolute scum of the earth. I mean, this movie, like, truly hates poor people. You know, like, at its core. It associates, like, anyone in the movie who's poor or commits crimes. Like, I kept a list of things it just, like, associates with them. Nothing empathetic whatsoever. It's just, like, with everyone but Doug, because he's trying to get out, whereas, like, they're not.
He's fighting against his Irish blood.
Right. Well, they don't say that, but, like, things associated with poor people in this movie. Selfishness, irresponsibility, drugs, STDs, teenage pregnancy, neglectful and dangerous parenting, alcoholism, cigarettes, drunk driving, suicide, TV dinners, video games.
Wow, like, TV dinners and cigarettes, those are,
it's just
strong
like,
indicators.
It's just like anytime you're with poor people in the movie, it's just like...
When you see poor people, they're actually making a poor choice. On
like
camera.
Actively on camera, yeah.
But also, you know, it looks like it's an action movie. Like it's less of a, you know, it's less of a movie that it's really trying to force a message like Pursuit of Happiness did. Like Pursuit of Happiness is trying to be a drama that is inspiring and trying to, like it's very obviously a commentary on something. And when something just being a pulpy action movie,
I think
but this one might be a little more than that.
I think it's supposed to be inspiring. I think it is because you're following him and his, like, you know, he's like being pulled back into this gang world by his like father's expectations and his friends' expectations and like his background and all this stuff, but he's trying to escape. And then, like, you know, through his strength and will, he gets out. And you are... You know, it is more, it's calling you to see a deeper meaning in it. So that's all I'm going to really say about that movie. Speaking of class, just to go back to The Social Network. I think class is an interesting topic in The Social Network. Again, like not really criticizing the movie that much. I think the movie's good. Just like interesting observation. Similar to the risk-taking thing, the movie sets up Mark as an anti-establishment hero. Like he's disrupting the status quo and like ignoring the existing structures. But you know, Mark himself clearly comes from privilege, and I'm not saying that like Mark Zuckerberg wasn't talented in some ways or had some good ideas, but a lot of people have great ideas, and he also had the privilege to go to Harvard, access to rich friends that could fund his startup, like the free time and energy to work on his startup. It's constantly reiterated that Mark doesn't care about money, which also means he doesn't really need to care about money.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting thing is like to make Mark seem like he's like against the elite and not part of the elite like he is, the movie has to juxtapose Mark against the super elite. Represented by the Winklevoss twins, both played by Armie Hammer, who are these like preppy old money students at Harvard who wrote Crew, and the Winklevoss twins are depicted as spoiled, whiny, and privileged.
My brother and I, we pay tuition at this school. We carry a 3.9 GPA at this school. We won trophies for this school, and we'll be rowing in the Olympics for this school. I want a meeting with the goddamn president of this school.
Like they only exist in the movie to make Mark look cool. But they have the money to eventually sue Mark and get a settlement. And Mark says in the movie,
the Winklevi aren't suing me for intellectual property theft. They are suing me because for the first time in their lives, things didn't work out the way they were supposed to for them.
So Mark is accusing them of being privileged.
Yeah, I mean, it's so rough for the upper middle class when they're interacting with the elites.
Yeah.
One of the characters who are, you know, like kind of like the poster child of self-made billionaires is Bill Gates. And if you look into his childhood, like, you know, like first of all, he was coming from like not a very rich family, but they were wealthy enough to provide him very good education, and he had access to study computer sciences way before people even got into video games and stuff like that. So he just had this like, you know, years of advantage in, you know, understanding the technology. Of course, it took a lot of talent, but, you know, millions of other kids had that talent. They just never had the chance to study what he had access to.
Yeah, and that's yeah.
It doesn't say that these people are not talented. It's just ignoring the fact that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there just as talented and just as hardworking.
Right. That's why I wouldn't criticize this movie for like saying that Mark Zuckerberg, like it would be silly to nitpick it for saying that he's smart or talented. Mm-hmm. Like the point is not that these people aren't smart or talented or hardworking or driven or anything like that. It's just that there's a lot of people out there who are smart and talented and driven and hardworking, but they just don't have access to the same benefits.
Yeah,
and privileges.
To me, the message only becomes problematic when they're trying to turn that into an inspirational message.
Yeah, like a lesson to other people that they can go follow their path and do the same while they're completely ignoring like economic realities.
Yeah.
And that's why I wouldn't really criticize this movie, because I don't think it's supposed to be inspiring other people. It's just also funny that they like, in order to make him seem more like cool or like an underdog, they have to put him against the super elite.
Yeah. Like
otherwise, it's not a compelling story.
Yeah.
They also use like a lot of shallow kind of signifiers to show that Mark is anti-establishment compared to them. Like, you know, they're wearing suits all the time and he just wears hoodies, you know. But yeah, it's just interesting that the movie manages to like move the goalposts for what constitutes privilege because it wants to make Mark seem like his success seems more merit-based, like he's more of an underdog. And similarly in Wall Street, Jake is portrayed as the anti-establishment character because he believes in green energy and like when the business world wants to continue to invest in oil and gas. But in the meantime, like he's a stockbroker. Like, since when is a Harvard student and a stockbroker not the establishment? You know? So in that way, it's like moving the goalposts on what is the establishment and what is power. You know?
Yeah.
Going back to Wall Street again. Wall Street, money never sleeps.
Wall Street 2.
Wall Street 2. Electric Boogaloo. Wall Street laments the boom and bust nature of the economy as a bad thing, but it never actually reckons with the human cost of the recession, like Up in the Air did. At the time, Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian pointed out in his review, quote, "Despite the pious waffle about the market craziness being like a cancer, no one is ever shown enduring the actual misery of losing money," end quote. And I totally agree with that. Like, that's totally true. In Wall Street, even when characters lose their jobs or quit their jobs, like, they find new jobs pretty easily. Winnie and Jake's concerns about money are more ideological. Jake is more concerned about his green energy company finding funding than his wife and newborn baby having enough money, even when he loses his job. When his mom finally quits the irresponsible business of real estate, she easily finds a nursing job. Like, in that way, it's more similar to The Devil Wears Prada, I think, actually, because it's the idea that your individual choices reflect your values because you have those choices.
Now I'm very, very curious if any upcoming American movies are going to break this pattern of hyper-individualism, even with these movies that are, you know, trying to be more empathetic and trying to be more critical. They're just really incapable of it because they're so locked into this radically individualistic worldview. And
yeah, I'm curious too. Okay, so at one point, Gordon Gekko is talking about his jail time, and he says,
"They took 122,000 hours of my life for a victimless crime."
And the movie seems to agree with that. Like, the movie focuses on how financial irresponsibility is bad for markets, but it ignores how it's bad for people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the only connection I was going to make. Like, the original Wall Street from 1987, I think, had similar issues, but it did a little more to portray capitalism as like a zero-sum game that has a human cost. It dropped that in here and there, at least. Like, here, we don't see any human cost at all. At the end, we see the villain, Breton, get arrested for his financial crimes, just like Gecko did, as if to say that this is how, that these things work out that way. You know? And we get that voiceover of Jake that I played earlier saying,
Now, in that sense, bubbles are evolutionary. They kill excess. They lean out the herd.
Basically being like, oh, it works out. The bad guys get punished, you know. Like the greedy people who take advantage of the system and cheat the system, they pay for their crimes, so there's no actual victims. So that's why it's like, that. Yeah, it's so out of touch. Yeah, Wall Street also has a super happy ending. Like, Gecko donates millions to this green energy company that Jake is obsessed with. And then the last scene is Jake and Winnie's kid's first birthday party. And it's like a very cheerful middle-class scene. Like, really, that's how you're going to end this movie? Like, while the recession is still happening, like both in the movie and in real life. And I kind of want to show you like a second of it.
The special effects in this movie, and there's so many like weird like computer generated like filters and images in it. What's the deal with that?
I don't know. It's really pretty hideous.
I mean,
they're also obsessed with computer monitors in it. Like, people have like 50 computer monitors at their desk with like lots of, you know, like numbers of economic data, like constantly on the screen.
That's one of my favorite Hollywood cliche, that whenever they show the super rich, they show them like they're constantly working and dealing with data, and they have monitors everywhere, and they're like looking at data, and they're like selling and buying in every single minute. Like, that's not what they're doing.
Like, they're just constantly
their
looking
money
at
is
stocks.
the majority of their money is just like keep regenerating itself automatically. Like, it's not like it's kind of like also like trying to like deliver that message that they're so incredibly hardworking and smart, and they constantly like there's not a second in their life when they're not working. That's why they're crazy rich.
And look how complicated it all is.
And it's so complicated, it takes 5 monitors to then everything is constantly monitoring the market.
So anyway, I just wanted to point out the happy ending because we saw happy endings with other similar movies: Pursuit of Happiness, Devil Wears Prada, Slumdog Millionaire. And like, by having a super happy ending, it kind of avoids any larger criticism of the system, because then the individual's made, like, by the end of the movie, has made the right decision, and then things worked out, and like, you can too, you know? Okay, so I do have one very brief honorable mention from 2010. Not even going to talk about the movie, really. Just one line. And that's True Grit by the Coen brothers. You said you haven't seen this.
No.
It's not my favorite, but it's pretty good. I just rewatched a lot of movies from 2010 for this, and like, one line stuck out to me that was relevant. It's a Western, and Jeff Bridges plays a bank robber. And the line is,
I robbed a high-interest bank. Can't rob a thief, can you? Never robbed a citizen. Never took a man's watch.
So he's calling the high-interest bank a thief, and he's differentiating it from stealing a man's watch, which is like real stealing, you know?
Yeah.
It's suggested that the bank is the thief, and the bank robber, and he specifies high interest. And the bank robber is more like an anti-hero. So it's like, that's more similar to Bonnie and Clyde. First time I've seen that come up. Okay, so just to summarize.
What did we learn today?
What did we learn today? What can we say about mainstream culture by 2010 through the most popular films that came in the first 3 years after the financial crisis. So, Slumdog Millionaire was just like a continuation of the same conservative ideas that came before, basically, but like a little easier to swallow. Same with The Town, which ultimately just blames poor people for their problems and ignores the recession entirely. Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, also falls into that category, I think, even though it does deal with the recession directly. Wall Street also introduces the idea that the recession is a natural part of the cycle of capitalism and that we're all to blame for it. We're all human, we're all flawed, and it's victimless, and we should just forgive and forget and move on. The other movie that deals with the recession directly, Up in the Air, as you noted, isn't revolutionary, but at least it is empathetic and does recognize the human cost of the recession. And then lastly, we have The Social Network, which introduced this idea that the rich and powerful are engaging in antisocial behavior rather than pro-social behavior. And it's like challenging the idolization of the rich and powerful to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
As a stage of grief, I would probably still say we're still in denial.
Yeah.
In 2010.
Yeah. But some criticism is starting to creep in.
Yes, there are holes being poked, and like most notably with Up in the Air and The Social Network.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the two
Mm-hmm.
that I would highlight so far. Yeah, before we go...
Shout out to our sponsors.
No, we don't have those. Yeah, just, if you're out there and you're listening and you're enjoying our podcast, send us a message.
Yeah.
At postscriptcast@gmail.com. Tell us, your revolutionary ideas about movies, and
tell us if we're wrong.
Don't tell us if we're wrong. I don't want to know.
No? Okay.
Just kidding.
Tell us if you want merch.
No, don't ask anything of us.
If you want merch, I can send it to you as a PDF and you could print it on a shirt.
Tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what you don't like about the show. Any ideas?
Particularly the person in Germany. We still don't know who's the person in Germany.
At least one person. Might be more.
Might be just somebody's using a VPN.
It's just Kevin.
Yeah.
Is it you, Kevin? Thanks for listening to Postscript. The music for this episode was created by my brother, Graham. If you want to reach any of us, you can email postscriptcast@gmail.com.
Postscriptcast@gmail.com.